Welcome to Marri Reddy Institute of Technology and Management. I am PV Murthy, Associate Professor in Data Science Department. Today, I am going to take a topic on method overloading in Java. So, we'll see what is the method overloading, why it is important in the implementation of the Java programs or softwares. Method overloading is a fundamental concept in object oriented programming that allows a child class to provide its own implementation of a method already which is already defined in the parent class. That means the parent class is having a method with the same name, and child class also can be through inheritance. Child class are also getting the method, but it is providing its own implementation. That means it can modify, it can provide its specialization implementations in it. So this powerful feature enables developers to customize inherited behavior while maintaining the structure and interface established by its parent class. By providing the structure and interface which is already provided to the parent class, this child class enables customized inheritance behavior. Okay, so child class provides its own implementation. If a child class provides its own implementation, this is called as method overriding. That means both child class and parent class is having a method with the same name. Okay, right. So what is method overriding? Now at the end we'll see what is the difference between method overloading, right? So method overriding occurs when a child class redefines a method from its parent class. So the overloading method in the child class provides specific implementation that suits its requirement and replaces parent's version. Even though parent version is having a method with the same name, it is having its own implementation. This child class is providing a specific implementation so that whenever the child class calls the method, it will execute its own implementation. So this allows the objects of the child class to exhibit specialized behavior so that a parent class can be inherited by the more than one child classes. Each and every child class can have its own specific implementation but still maintains compatibility with the parent class interface. So while exhibiting its own specialized behavior, at the same time maintains compatibility with its parent class, right? So why we use overriding? This overriding is essential for achieving runtime polymorphism. Why we need this overriding method overriding? To achieve runtime polymorphism. So whenever we are implementing or calling at the runtime, a class, an object can choose its own implementation. So this is one of the core principle of the object oriented programming. So it allows child classes to modify or extend the behavior of inherited methods. By default, child class getting the inherited methods of the parent class, but this feature allows child class to modify or extend or make it customize its behavior nature, okay, as per its specific needs, creating flexible, maintainable code. So this is the feature which allows child class can override methods from its parent class. So what is the basic conditions? Okay, the child class can extend the behavior of the parent class, but What are the specific conditions? What are the basic conditions a child class must satisfy when to override methods? Okay, so the specific rules that ensures in particular the type safety and consistency in the Java programs. So these rules enforced by the Java compiler. These rules are enforced by the Java compiler and runtime environment to maintain the integrity of the object-oriented design. Right? What are these particular rules? We are having the four different types of rules we need to follow in order to enforce method overriding. The first one is the inheritance must exist. Until unless inheritance exists, a child class is created from its parent class and implementing the same methods as in the parent class in the child class also. This method overriding is not possible. So if you want to implement the method overriding, inheritance must exist. That means child class must extend the parent class. It has to make some modifications in the parent class version using the extends keyword. Without inheritance, there is no parent method to override. Be careful. So, second condition, the method name must match. Until unless the method name match with the parent version of the method, this overriding condition doesn't exist. So method name in the child class must be identical. The method name in the child class must be identical to its parent class method name. That is one of the important thing. Even a single character differs or differences creating a new method instead of the override. Even if a single character change in the child version, those two methods becomes two different methods. Okay, not child method is overriding the parent method. Instead, two becomes two different methods. Third conditions, the parameters list must be identical. So the all parent, the class name must be identical. Inheritance must exist. Parameter list also must be identical. Otherwise, the signature of the each and every method is going to be differs. So this condition also must meet not only the name of the method name, but also the parameter list must be identical. So that means what is the meaning of this particular thing? The number of parameters, the type of the parameters, the order of the parameters must match exactly. Then only overriding is possible. Different parameters results in method overloading, not method overriding. If the parameters are differs, are different, or different order, or different data types, it becomes method overloading, not method overriding. So method overriding is possible if and only if both parent and child class methods are having the same name. The parameters list must be identical. Not only this particular thing, the fourth necessary condition is return type compatibility. So the return type must be same or subtype of the parent method's return type. Be careful. So one method can't return integer data type, another method can't return the character data type. Both must be either the same or subtype. That means covariant return type. If and only if these four conditions exist, then only we can perform method overriding. Otherwise, it becomes method overloading. So, in the method overriding, we are going to implement specialized requirements or customized method behaviors. So, the concept is method overriding is resolved at runtime, whereas method overloading is resolved at compile time. That is one of the fundamental difference. So, whenever you want runtime polymorphism, we are going to implement method overriding. right? So dynamic, this feature is also called as the dynamic binding, which enables polymorphic behavior in Java applications. Okay, right. Now we'll see a simple overriding example. Let's say general common bank implemented a software. From that particular general bank, specific customized banks implementations are taking place. So in the general bank, it is involved with a or included with a method called as interest rate. So this is a common feature to be overridden in the other child classes. This method interest rate, whenever called, it prints general interest rate. Now let we assume a specific bank called as SBI is implemented using the base class bank. So this SBI is created by using the extend keyword from parent class bank and included a method with the same name as in the parent class, interest rate only. But this time we included its specialized character as SBI interest rate is 6%. As previously, we are not mentioned any specific interest rate, where in this particular case it is included its own interest rate of 6%. Right? So we are having the parent class, child class with the same method called as interest rate. But only thing is, in the parent class, we included one statement called as general interest rate, whereas in the child class method, we included with a specific interest rate of 6%. So what we are following is, first of all, we are creating the parent class definition. The parent class is bank. This bank class defines a generic interest rate method that prints a general message about interest rates. Now, when you are creating a child class from the parent class bank, this child class, let me call it as a SBA class. This SBA class is extended using the base class bank and also provides its own implementation of interest rate. So this specific interest rate displaying a specific interest rate of 6%. So whenever we are calling parent version of the method, it prints general interest rate. Whenever we are calling the child version of the method, it is printing the specific interest rate of the 6%. Right? So this method replacement, when an SBA object calls interest rate, the child class version is executed instead of the parent class, because the object whatever we are going to create here is SBI child class. So if you are executing the statement from the child class object, it will call the class version of the method and prints its own implementation details. Whereas if you are calling the parent version instead of the object is the parent class type object, then it will call the parent version of the method and prints the parent class implementation details of the method, that general interest rate. So calling the overriding methods, in what way we can call the overriding methods, once again we'll see. So how Java resolves method calls, whether it calls the parent version or whether it calls the child version. Okay, it is essential for identifying the concept of the method overloading or overriding in particularly. So when we create an object of the child class, when you create an object of child class, invokes an overriding method. What is the meaning of overriding method? A method present both in the child class and a parent class having the same name and same identical list of parameters. Okay, when you are creating an object of the child class and invokes that overriding method, the Java always executes child class version because we called from the parent, not parent class version, we called the base class version of the object. So this behavior demonstrate principle of specializations in the object oriented programming. So the main method setup we creating is in the main method setup, that means main method in the class we define. When you are creating an instance of SBI class and store it in a variable of the same type, the most straightforward way to demonstrate method overriding is create an instance of SBI class and invoke the required method. So that method invocation is always using the object of that child class, okay, using the dot operator as dot, that overriding method. Java looks the actual object type as SBI and executes its version of the method. So finally, we'll go with this how you are identifying this method we created in the main method. Okay, so we created an object of child class type SBI. So the S is going to be child object. Whenever we are creating S dot interest rate, it calls child version of the overriding method, and it is going to print its own implementation of 6%. Otherwise, if you are not using this particular one, if you are creating a parent version of the object and if you are calling the method, automatically calls the override method of the parent version. So child class method executes here because object is of type SPI. Why the child class version is executed here? We created an object of type SPI. So it calls SBI versions of the interest rate, demonstrated the most specific implementation. Okay, so it always useful when you are having more than one child classes. We create from the parent, and at appropriate time, whenever you want to execute appropriate version of the child class, that means it's runtime polymorphism. Whenever you want to decide which method to be executed at that runtime, we are going to use overriding method. So here we demonstrated only one child class. Instead of one child class, using the inheritance, we can create a number of child classes each and every time. Whatever the object we create, so whatever the object for the specific child we create, that version of the method will be executed and exhibits as runtime polymorphism. Thank you.